Today is Wednesday, June 23rd, and I would like to, time is 6:30, and I would like to call this meeting of the Macomb Township Board of Trustees to order. We will now say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So tonight, for those of you attending and for those of you who are participating remotely, we are doing things a little different tonight. Thanks to our clerk and her staff, we are now finally implementing electronic voting for the first time. So things may seem a little bit different up here. If you are present, or you can watch again on your screen at home, the results of our votes will be flashed on the screens behind me, and I will be calling for a vote in a different way. Is that all of it? Mm-hmm. So for roll call, I do see that all members have checked in and are present. We are move on to approval of the agenda. Clerk Posey, are there any additions, deletions, or corrections?
Mr. Chairman, I have none at this time.
All right. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve the agenda?
Second.
Was that Trustee Kuzmano?
Yes?
Yes.
Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay, hearing none. We have a motion by Treasurer Gillette, supported by Trustee Kuzmano. Members, please vote. That motion passes. Moving on to item 3, approval of the bill run. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve the bill in its entirety.
Support.
Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none. There's there is a motion by Clerk Posey, supported by Treasurer Gillette, to approve the bill run. Members, please vote. And that motion passes. Moving on to item 4, approval of the previous meeting's minutes from June 9th, 2021.
Motion to approve the previous meeting minutes from June 9th as presented. Support.
Any discussion? Hearing none, there's a motion by Clerk Posey, supported by Trustee Nevers, to approve the previous meeting minutes. Members, please vote. That motion passes. All right, moving on to public comment. For those present, public comment may also seem a bit different. We will have a timer up on one of these screens. For those of you who are participating remotely, please digitally raise your hand to be called upon. We are now doing public comment for agenda items only, and please do remember you have a 3-minute time limit. Nobody present. Mr. Ivanowski, is there anybody participating remotely who wishes to comment on an agenda item?
No, sir, not currently.
Okay, seeing that there is nobody who wishes to speak, we'll move on to the consent agenda.
Chair, I move the consent agenda in its entirety.
Trustee Kuzmano supports.
Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, there's a motion by Treasurer Gillette, supported by Trustee Kuzmano, to to approve the consent agenda in its entirety. Members, please vote. Trying to turn my page and got distracted. That motion passes. Moving on to new business. Item 8. We have a request to schedule a public hearing for street lighting SAD resolution for Wellington Estates Site Condos Phase 1 for July 28th, 2021. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion on the motion? Mr. Van Tifflin, can you give us background?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, board members, this is for a brand-new development. As is required by Township ordinance, the developer must install streetlights. This would be the special assessment district that would allow the township to charge the property owners for the cost that DTE sends to the township. Be happy to answer any questions.
Now, is there any discussion on the motion? Okay, hearing none, we have a motion by trustee Oliver, supported by treasurer Gillette, to schedule a hearing for the SAD for Wellington Estates condominiums, Phase 1, for July 28th, 2021. Members, please vote. That motion passes. Moving on to item 9, is a request to schedule a public hearing for the street lighting SAD resolution for Char Estates site condominiums for July 28th, 2021.
Motion to approve?
Support.
Mr. Van Tifflin.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, board members, this is actually the development right next door. Same situation. The developer is requesting that a special assessment district be set up in accordance with township ordinance, and be happy to answer any questions.
Is there any discussion or questions from the board? Okay, hearing none, we have a motion by Clerk Posey, supported by trustee Nevers, to schedule the SAD for Char Estates site condos for July 28th, 2021. Members, please vote. That motion passes. Moving on to item 10, we have a request to approve a pathway abeyance for 52100 North Ave, 51960 North Ave, and vacant North Avenue parcel. Parcel number is 08-13-100-026, 08-13-100-038, and 08-13-300-052.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, trustee Oliver.
before we vote, I have a conflict on this item. I will be abstaining.
Thank you, sir. We have a motion, okay. So is there any discussion, sorry, Mr. Van Tifflin?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, board members. There are two property owners interested, have applied with the township to split and combine 3 different parcels and make them into 2. As is normally required under township ordinance, they would have to install the pathway along the frontage of the public road, in this case, North Avenue. The property owner, because there are no sidewalks in this area, is requesting an abeyance until sidewalks are sufficiently in this area that the township would want to have them installed. We've reviewed the request and are recommending approval. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Van Tifflin.
Mr. Chair, I just have a question on the procedure here. At what point triggers the township to enact that, or to compel the sidewalk to be put in?
So typically, it would be identified as part of our sidewalk gap closure program, but typically what happens is as development happens and other sidewalks are built in the area, and we think we can get a certain area connected, then we'll call the abeyance in. We've had to do it a couple of times, but most of these are in the north end of the township where we don't have a lot of development happening currently, but development is headed that way. So when we do identify them as part of the gap closure, we'll put the property owner on notice. They'll have so many days to actually install it, or they can participate in the gap closure program, because sometimes it's economically better for them, it's cheaper for them if they participate with us.
It's basically at the discretion of the township.
Yep, the agreement says the township can call it in at any time, for any reason, and they have, I think it's 90 days to actually install it. Obviously, if we're calling it in December, we would give them until the spring, weather would allow for concrete to be poured.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any more discussion or questions? Okay, hearing none, we have a motion by Treasurer Gillette, supported by Clerk Posey, to approve the pathway abeyance for parcel numbers 08-13-100-2026, 08-13-100-038, and 08-13-300-052. Members, please vote. That motion passes with trustee Oliver abstaining. Moving on to item 11. We have a request for a model permit for Wellington Estates condos located at the south side of 24 Mile Road, west of Card Road. Permanent parcel ID 08-16-100-024. Is there a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Support.
Mr. Box?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Board. Yes, Wellington Estates Site Condominium. This is a 140-unit subdivision in Section 16 of the Township, south of 24 between Romeo Plank and Card Road. The property will be constructed in 4 phases, and at this time, they're seeking model permits to be available so that they can showcase the different types of models that are going to be able to be purchased throughout the subdivision. They're asking for 3 models at this time. Internal departments have reviewed this, and everyone is in support of these, and at this time, we're seeking the board for approval for these 3 model permits.
Thank you, Mr. Box. Any questions or discussion from the board? Okay, hearing none, we have a motion by trustee Oliver, supported by treasurer Gillette, to approve the model permits for Wellington Estates condos, site permanent parcel ID 08-16-100-024. Members, please vote. That motion passes. Moving on to item 12, we have a final site plan request for Mistwood Estates located on the south side of 23 Mile Road, 3/4 mile east of North Avenue, permanent parcel number 08-33-400-019. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Mr. Box?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Board. Mistwood Estates is a 134-unit single-family subdivision located south of 23 between North Avenue and Fairchild. Development does have an approved preliminary plan as well as engineering plans, and they are now seeking for the final plan approval. All internal departments have reviewed and are in support of this approval, and the Planning Commission did vote unanimously to recommend approval at its most recent meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Box. Is there any discussion or questions? Okay, hearing none, we have a motion by Clerk Posey, supported by treasurer Gillette, to approve the final site plan for Mistwood Estates, permanent parcel number 08-33-400-019. Members, please vote. That motion passes. Moving on to item 13 is a model permit request for Glen condominiums located on the northwest corner of 25 Mile Road in Luckman, permanent parcel 08-04-300-031. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Mr. Box?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman and Board. Glen Oaks condominiums are actually located on the northeast corner of 25 Mile and Luckman. Development is 25 single-family units, and they are also seeking model permits, much like the Wellington Estates development that we just discussed. They are seeking 4 model permits, again, to build some models to showcase the building options for future buyers. All internal departments have recommended approval, and at this time, we're seeking board approval for these model permits.
Thank you, Mr. Box.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to clarify, the information in the packet, Mr. Box does indicate northwest, so just for
Correct.
the record, that
It's
it is northeast.
northeast,
Okay, thank
yes.
you.
Is there any discussion or questions on this motion? Okay, hearing none, we have a motion by Clerk Posey, supported by trustee Lucido, to approve the model permit request for Glen Oaks condominiums, permanent parcel ID 08-04-300-031. Members, please vote. That motion passes. Moving on to item 14. We have a request to purchase thermal imaging cameras in the amount of $30,000 $97.68. Is there a motion?
So move.
Support.
Chief?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'm requesting your approval this evening to purchase 6 thermal imaging cameras, along with 6 spare batteries, truck chargers, and retractable lanyards. The cameras use infrared radiation as visible light, which allow the firefighters to see areas of heat through smoke, darkness, or heat permeable barriers. The cameras pick up body heat, and they're normally used in cases where people are trapped, where rescuers cannot find them. The current imaging cameras were purchased in 2010 and have reached their end-of-life service. Parts are no longer available for the cameras, and we currently have 2 of the 6 that are out of service and cannot be repaired. Committee consisting of full-time firefighters and paid-on-call firefighters, along with members of the command staff, spent approximately 5 months researching different cameras and recommended the model that's being recommended this evening. Request for bids was placed on Mitten on May 10th with a due date of May 24th. Total of 7 bids were received, ranging in price from $6,777.21 to $54,210. The low bid of $6,777.21 only bid on supplying 1 of the cameras and did not submit all the required bid documents. Therefore, I'm recommending the bid be awarded to the next lowest bidder, Phoenix Safety Outfitters, at a total cost of $30,097.68. This item was included in the fiscal year 2021-2022 budget. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. Chief, do you anticipate having live training with the new cameras?
Everyone will be trained once we receive them before we place them into service.
Okay. Is that something that's going to be handled internally, or is that part of the agreement with the manufacturer?
It's part of the agreement. They'll supply training to our training officer, and then we'll provide it through the department.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Trustee Kuzmano. Any further discussion or questions? Okay, hearing none, we have a motion by Treasurer Gillette, supported by Trustee Lucido, to purchase thermal imaging cameras in the amount of $30,097.68. Members, please vote. That motion passes. And moving on to item 15, we have a request to purchase extrication equipment, sorry, couldn't get that out. Extrication equipment in the amount of $30,000.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'm requesting your approval this evening.
Hold on, Chief. I need a motion.
So move.
Support.
Okay. Now, Chief.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'm requesting your approval this evening to purchase extrication equipment, also known as the Jaws of Life, for the new mini pumper that's on order. I'm recommending the battery-powered tools instead of the traditional tools that operate from a power unit and hydraulic hoses. Battery-powered tools provide us with greater flexibility and are easier to operate. We placed into service the first set of battery-powered tools in July of 2013, and they've worked extremely well. If approved, all 4 of the mini pumpers and Rescue 1 will now have all of the same set of battery-powered extrication tools. Due to territorial agreements, we're only able to purchase the Hearst extrication tools from 1 dealer that covers all of Michigan. Thus, we're unable to obtain 3 bids. I attached the confirmation of process letter from the purchasing specialist. The total cost for the cutter, spreader, ram, and AC power supply adapter is $30,000, and this purchase was included in the current budget. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions?
I had one question, if I could. Chief, just in the difference between the battery-powered and the other ones, you literally had to like plug it in and it would have a cord that would extend with it?
Correct. Before the battery powered, they ran off of a power unit that's in one of the compartments tied to cord reels with hydraulic hose. So we're limited to the length of the cord that's on the hoses. The battery powered, we can take anywhere. They're much easier to use. They're a little lighter, and they will cut through all of the current steel that is currently on the market for the automobiles, unlike the hydraulic tools that we currently have.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, hearing none, we have a motion by Treasurer Gillette, supported by Trustee Lucido, to purchase the extrication equipment for $30,000. Members, please vote. That motion passes. Okay, moving on to public comment for non-agenda items. Again, a reminder that if you're participating remotely, please digitally raise your hand. Those of you in attendance, please approach the podium and remember that you have a 3-minute time limit. See no one present wishes to speak. Mr. Abeyances, is there anyone wish to?
No, Mr. Supervisor, not at this time. I do not see anybody raising their hand.
Okay, give it another couple of seconds. Nope, none?
Nope.
Okay. Moving on to trustee comments. Trustee Oliver.
Me first. I like the new voting system.
Yay.
So, thank whoever, Carl and Christie and whoever else got involved in putting this together. I like it. That's all I got. And I know you're shocked.
Roger will be shocked too.
Oh, Roger. All right, okay.
Carl might be faint dead away. Trustee Kuzmano.
No comments today.
Thank you, Trustee Kuzmano. Trustee Lucido.
Nothing for me.
Trustee Nevers.
I'd just like to say I too am enjoying the new system, and it was easy. And thank you to Roger for getting us all on board and set up and the tutorial. So thank you.
Trustee Gillette.
You'll see before you distributed today, one of the quarterly treasury reports that are required to be distributed by law. It's basically a summary of where our township has the funds invested and in what proportions and what banks and that sort of thing. It is required to be given out quarterly. Really, the township's very limited generally how it maintains its funds by both our investment policy and our, by state law. And the 3 priorities that we follow in order are first, safety, that not losing funds is our top priority, so the security of the funds. Next is liquidity, that we always have funds available for anticipated needs. And finally, returns, which are obviously dictated by the market and so forth. So if there's anybody who has any questions on the report, they can feel free to ask me following the meeting or any time. That's all I have.
Thank you, Treasurer Gillette. Clerk Posey.
I just wanted to thank all the board members for being open to advancing in technology. We were excited to roll this out, and everybody was cooperative and worked with us, so I hope the residents enjoy it. We want to set the bar for Macomb Township, and hopefully people look to us on how to make advancements and improvements in their meetings as well. That's all I have.
Thank you, Clerk Posey. Supervisor's comments. I just wish to thank everyone who helped participate in our State of the Township preparations. It was a lot of fun, and I'm glad we could do that together. I also want to give a nod to our departing supervisor to the east, Supervisor Dana Cavetti, who is stepping down from his post there and moving on to the county, and I look forward to working with him in the County Public Works Commissioner's office. And I do want to mention that starting Thursday, our free concert series is beginning. Thursday at 7 p.m. at Macomb Corners. The band Collision 6 will be playing, and there'll be a food truck and a kids zone, and there'll be a lot of activities, and I hope everyone can come out and join us for our first concert of the summer. And that is all I have. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? We have a motion by Clerk Posey, supported by Treasurer Gillette, to adjourn. Members, please vote. The motion carries. Meeting adjourned.